So while the World War II beta dropped a whole day early by dropping earlier today, players and fans got a ton of hands-on time with the game, and myself included. I played so much of this today and I'm so excited already. Hopefully by this time, all the codes and everything have gone out. I know there were some issues and everything going on around the code distribution for the World War II beta, so my best wishes are with you that you've gotten a code already and you can try it out because it's a fantastic game. It's a ton of fun, and truthfully, I absolutely love it. So that said, I want to talk a little bit about some cool things, or maybe one or two downsides with this, but nonetheless, I want to talk about 5 things you probably don't know about Call of Duty World War II based off of a little bit of the beta. So that said, hopefully you guys do enjoy, and let's jump right into our 5 things here with this one. Firstly, one thing that I absolutely love that is a nice little addition here to Call of Duty World War II deals with grenades, and more so, not necessarily on the throwing end where you're trying to get a kill with it, but more so if you're trying to dodge a grenade, if you're trying to stay alive and you have a couple or just one thrown at you. If you notice the indicator for the grenades, not only does it showcase what sort of grenade it is, but it's also distinguished by color. And this isn't something where it's Axis versus allies and that grenade indicator is the color of whatever side you're on. Instead, it's actually if you're in the range of taking damage or not. So with that said, if you're not going to take any damage from a grenade that pops up in your general vicinity where the grenade indicator would come into play, if it is a black or grayish indicator for this, that means you're not going to take any damage whatsoever from it. More so, that's probably if you're on the other side of a barrier that the grenade is in front of, so the barrier will act as a shield and you won't take any damage. However, if there's a grenade that is in the open area, and even if it's up on top of you, or if it's just at the edge of when the damage will do, if it has the potential to do damage, it will showcase as a red indicator. So while many people may not necessarily pay attention to the grenade indicator too much in that moment, just know that if it is a black or a gray one, it doesn't do any damage to you, and if it's red, well then get out of there. Now the second thing I want to talk to you guys about is actually dealing with the recon aircraft and other aerial streaks that stay in the air. One cool little feature here out of these is the fact that the name of the player that called that in is above the model of the score streak in the air. Now, what is kind of weird is that, say, recon aircrafts and all that kind of stuff seem pretty big in the grand scheme of things whenever you go and take a look at them in the actual map. So, whereas they're supposed to be a little bit further away, they're still pretty big in that skybox. But that aside, the player's name will end up being on top of that. So, if they called in a recon aircraft, their name will be above it, but if it's something that is a little bit bigger in the grand scheme of things, once again, when we end up getting more of these aerial streaks, there will be a name above it, so if you have to look out for somebody who's streaking close to what may be a nuke, you know who to look out for. And number 3 is kind of a downside, but it's something that may potentially get fixed, may not, I guess we'll see in time. But the third thing is that you can get shell-shocked by your teammates' explosives. So if they throw a grenade, if they shoot a rocket launcher, if one of the glide bombs comes down on you, whatever it may be that actually has, once again, that whole damage factor of doing shell shock and then damage to an enemy, you yourself will in fact be shell shocked and a little bit stunned by that if you're in the general vicinity of it as well. So whereas it does not necessarily directly damage your health, it still does throw you off and act as a team stun, and it can actually act more so as a disadvantage than anything else, especially if you're close to a gunfight or in a gunfight at all. It's literally like you're being stunned and you can't move too much, you can't really do much outside of just wait for it to go down. So that said, hopefully shell shocking by teammates' hands is something that maybe gets a little bit toned down or completely taken out. I don't know. I personally would like to see it not necessarily hurt too many players, but for right now, it is what it is. But moving over to the 4th thing here up on this list of things you might not know, this deals with infantry, because the 2nd tier of infantry, level 2, grants you another attachment for any weapon on that infantry division. So that said, it is something that if you get this, you might notice immediately that there's actually not another attachment added in on top of this, and this is where it becomes more so of a little infantry bug, which I'm assuming will in fact be fixed at some point in time, but for right now you have to deal with it. But it doesn't showcase initially a 2nd attachment. What you have to do is when you hit that rank 2 in the infantry division, you need to back out and choose another division and then reselect infantry in your create a class slot to fully unlock that 3rd attachment position. So while right now it is kind of a little bit of an annoyance more so than anything, because it doesn't necessarily take too much out of your time to fix it, it's just more so like, oh, come on man, like I don't want to do this again. One of those sort of things where it just takes an extra couple of seconds to fix and to write, but hopefully it does become fixed at a later point in time or throughout the weekend with the beta. But that said, that moves us into the fifth and final thing within the World War II 5 things you may not know, and that actually deals with something that might not be changed, but potentially could in a future time, but probably won't be during the beta. That being that there is a fire rate cap on pistols, meaning that no matter if you end up spamming your trigger finger to the point where you can just shoot it almost like an automatic rifle, or if you take about 2 shots per 2 seconds, there is a max rate of fire that you cannot exceed. Now right now, I haven't necessarily tested it out too much, but as soon as you end up going into a game and you try spamming your trigger finger with a pistol, you'll definitely notice what I'm talking about, where some shots don't necessarily feel like they get off as fast as you're shooting them. That's because there is a little bit of a pistol fire rate cap here within World War II. So once again, whether or not that is in fact fixed, I guess we won't necessarily know. That's more so something that we've seen and haven't seen before in some games. It really just depends on the developmental process, what the studio chooses and everything like that. So that very well could be sticking throughout the full game, but right now that's something that I thought you should probably be aware of, because some of the times when you have to swap to a pistol, it degrades the chance of getting a kill off in a gunfight, where swapping over you have that little bit of a fire rate cap because you can't get it off as fast as possible. But that said, that's going to conclude our 5 things you may not know about Call of Duty World War II. So that said, drop me your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Firstly, how many of these did you know? How many of these did you guys notice while playing a little bit today? And would you guys like to see more things like this about 5 things you didn't know about in World War II? I'd absolutely be thrilled to make more of them, so if you guys want to see more, feel free to let me know down there in the comment section down below as well. But that said, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a beat here on any World War II content. We're going to be killing it come with this beta and also into the full game. So stick around here if you guys are at all interested with any of that. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that is the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys had a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.